So it seems now everyone has a podcast. Just what the world needed. Yet another podcast. But in this case, Sophie Cunningham is not afraid to tell it like it is. Aaliyah Boston, another member of the Fever, who has a podcast. I talked about that earlier. That launching with Candace Parker, Post Moves. And now Sophie Cunningham joins the list of WNBA players with a podcast or an outlet like that. Of course, there are plenty. Angel Reese has hers. The Stud Buds have their platform. So there are plenty of WNBA stars with an outlet like that. And now Cunningham has Show Me Something with TV personality West Wilson. So the debut episode came out today. And in it, Sophie said some very unapologetic things. The kind of things that have made her beloved by Fever fans and continue to have her adversaries and detractors crash out. I mean, that's pretty much as simple as you can put it. I mean, the phenomenon of Sophie Cunningham is in large part due to Caitlin Clark, right? Sophie comes over, she protects Caitlin Clark in that Connecticut Sun game, throws JC Sheldon to the floor. That's when she became a viral sensation. But she's always had that personality. She's always been pretty well known in the WNBA space. And now she's on the most high-profile team, getting all sorts of endorsement deals and the like, and has been playing extremely well as well. But so many fans were waiting for somebody to do what Sophie did. But Sophie Cunningham was not worried about hurting any feelings on this podcast either. This is what she said about the idea that Caitlin Clark may not be the face of the league, which is, just an asinine concept that has been thrown out by some.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. We have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
I mean, you can't put it any better. That is the truth. And anybody who is arguing against that is arguing against what is essentially objective fact by the evidence at hand, and brains broken. There's no other way to put it. Brains are broken who go the other way. Now, one of the reasons that Sophie felt the need to stand up for Caitlin Clark is, if you recall, she said it had been building up over time, that the referees had not been protecting the star player of the WNBA. So she said it back then too, right? The star player of the WNBA. This is actually what she had expressed in the aftermath of that incident, in case you don't remember the exact quote.
Just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
not protecting the star player of the WNBA. Once again, saying that same thing, reinforcing that same thing. And where does that come from? Well, she has some firsthand experience. She was in the locker room of another team, and now she is a teammate of Caitlin Clark herself. But Sophie, I don't usually use this term, spilled a little tea on the Phoenix Mercury in regards to how they approached going against Caitlin Clark.
You have seen players in our league try to toughen up Caitlin. We call her CC. CC. For even when I wasn't on her team, I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And I get it to a certain extent. And every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But there's just more for her. So it's her second year, and now being on her team and seeing it, I'm what are people doing? Actually, it's just too much.
It's too much, says Sophie Cunningham, and she had enough, as you could see in that moment of it boiling over. And of course, your perspective changes when you become the teammate. I'm sure, she was in those locker rooms for those conversations, and you know how Sophie rolls. So I'm sure she was rolling with her team at that time. But she is no longer on the Mercury. It's ironic that the Fever are playing the Mercury the day the podcast drops and the day Sophie drops that little tidbit of information, if you will. But she gets it. She understands it. And she represented something for the fans. She represented something that Caitlin Clark fans, who are now Fever fans, were yearning for or asking for, beyond just being a quote unquote enforcer, but, standing up for your teammate and being unapologetic in what you have to say in her defense, in also recognizing her place in the league and her status as a superstar in the WNBA. Now, look, Sophie said the other day, they've learned to play without Caitlin. They learn how to play with Caitlin. When she's back, great. If she's not back, great. They'll be fine in the meantime, which also goes to show you her mentality. This is not something that this is not a human being whose identity revolves around Caitlin Clark, but it is another example of how the star power of somebody in Clark's orbit, especially if they're the right fit, can go to another level. And we've now seen, numerous stars made of Indiana Fever players. Aaliyah Boston was a number 1 pick in the WNBA draft, but now she's a star, and she would have been an all-star anyway, but she got way more all-star votes than she would have gotten. Kelsey Mitchell now becoming more of a household name, because she's a backcourt mate for Caitlin Clark, and so many people get to appreciate just how great her game is. And that list can go on and on down the line, really, to everybody on the roster. But Sophie Cunningham in particular, I would say, just like that right mix, that right cocktail of what Fever fans were thirsty for, I guess, pun intended. And she quenched it. She quenched it by clenching JC Sheldon in that MMA move.